something happened in the early '90s. So after after the late '80s, kind of '88, '89, they came out with like a bunch of these really poppy bubblegum songs that were like really bad. But also in the '80s too, they had this alternative scene, like with this deep gothic and like the Cure and Bauhaus. And so what they did in the early '90s was they took the bubblegum pop, like think of like Lisa Lisa, the Cult Jam, and those kind of songs, and then kind of fused them with the more dark stuff from the '80s. In the early '90s, they came up with bands like Jesus Jones. So they had a bunch of them like this. They had like EMF. They had the Shaman. Jesus Jones is one. I mean, there's a whole bunch. They all use the same kind of drum rhythm. They called it alternative dance. So this was early. This is like, I think Jesus Jones was one of the earliest purveyors of that alternative dance scene. It was kind of born out of a skateboard culture. Like these guys were all skateboarders. They said they recognized each other by their shoes that they wore. So it was an interesting little story, backstory. They're from Wiltshire, England. So in I think it's Bradford upon Avon, something like that. But it's a cool jam. And actually, I listened to this quite a bit in the early '90s, and I thought it was really neat what they did. Kind of fusing this keyboard, a little bit of electronica with a little bit of dance, kind of head bobbing, tick-tocky movements. Some of the later examples of these guys would be like Third Eye Blind, would be like the evolution of this. So, but Jesus Jones was legit, man. They were early on, so really successful. So, but this song in particular, right here, right now, is their biggest hit. They had another song called Info Freak that was pretty good, pretty cool too. But their first album did really well, and they're actually still performing to this day. So let's take a listen to Jesus Jones, and right here, right now, one of my early alternative dance favorites. This drum beat's pretty iconic, to be honest with you. Like it caught on like wildfire. And that dance style from the keyboardist in particular cracks me up. I can't tell you how many people I saw dancing like this. It's probably the first time somebody thought of picking up their keyboard and doing the dance around with the jam. But yeah, man, it's a good song, dude. It's still catchy. It's still got you still got that little tick tocky head bob. Um, I can't tell how many bands came out like after this one kind of hit. I want to say it. I think the album was recorded in 1990 and it came out in 91. And then the floodgates were open. They saw the success of Jesus Jones, and they kind of everybody jumped on board. And it was a pretty cool time to be alive, man. They changed music in a lot of ways. Brought us out of that late '80s, you know, like Paula Abdul and all these terrible pop songs that were coming out. And it was a nice fusion of electronica with alternative music. So it was really kind of a cool time to be alive, man. A lot of cool stuff came out in the early '90s. But yeah, I think this is the song your dad totally showed you. This song permeated everywhere. It was on the radio constantly. It was just all over the place. But it's a good jam. Much mad respect to Jesus Jones. I'm glad they're still out there playing and still producing music, still producing albums even. So good on these guys for making a living doing something they love.